Alright, in this section we're going to quickly go over just the area light option, which can be found in the general tab of the area light under the area spin down menu here. Cool, so let's actually start out with visible. This allows us to see the light in our render. We have a bidirectional option, which unfortunately is not bidirectional path tracing, but rather just it makes the light project, cast light in both directions. Normalized intensity is an interesting one, so we're going to have to go ahead and increase our intensity quite a bit with this option enabled. Let's start with our intensity at 100 and maybe exposure up at 10, maybe 15, how about 12? So normalized intensity simply allows us to keep the same appearance of intensity regardless of light size. So as I shrink my light down, you'll notice that our intensity stays the same. Spread's also kind of an interesting one. You can almost think of it as kind of like focusing your light, almost similar to a spotlight. Actually, we can get super sharp shadows if we turn our spread all the way down, or just very soft shadows if we only change the spread a little bit. And this can actually be a pretty interesting option to mess with when you are lighting volumes. You can get some really interesting like streaky image effects if you throw an image into your light and cast it through volume. Of course, we have samples down here at the bottom. So if your shadows are looking kind of grainy, we can increase our light samples to try and compensate for that. Let's flip that guy back up. And let's talk about the shape now. So there are a couple of different options under shape. We have rectangle, which is what it comes set as by default. If we hit disk, flip visibility on, you'll see that our light is now a circle. We have sphere, which can actually be quite useful for very soft looking lighting. And we have cylinder, which will give pretty similar effect to the sphere lighting as well. And lastly, we have mesh. So to use mesh, we actually need to have an object to link up as a mesh. So I've just dropped a sphere into the scene, parented it under the light. You don't have to do that, but in this case, it's going to make it easy for me to zero out my sphere. And then we just drag the sphere into the mesh dialog, and you'll see that we're now using this sphere as a custom geometry light. Now I will say the sampling is not quite as good on mesh lighting as it is any of the other light types. For example, you can see that our background plane is having a really hard time converging, whereas if I were to just flip this back to sphere, turn my other sphere object off, these are all the same size, you can see that the sampling is much faster for the sphere light. Alright, well thanks for checking out the area light section, and we'll see you in the next one.